Now before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that I also have a video on the Dark Knight talking about their history and the making within the Final Fantasy universe. If you want to check that out now, I'll leave a link to it right here for your viewing pleasure. Now that that's out of the way, let us begin. Finally, Heavensward has come out and all the nerds, old and new, flocked to it like wildfire. You won't believe how many said they came from WoW just because they got bored of the content over there. I mean, yes, come on over and enjoy the game millions of nerds are playing and comparing to every other MMO. However, there is a trend going on with the new players. They seem to think that once you get the game and the expansion, then you'll get the new jobs, Dark Knight, Machinist, and Astrologian automatically. This goes for the returners as well, and I don't blame them. A new expansion with the promise of a new job sounds like a plan to me, so why not hop back on, get me this new fancy looking Dark Knight class. Oh fuck! I have to complete the story I never did because I got too bored of the game? I have to go through all the extra dungeons that were featured in the patches because if I don't, then the story won't progress? What's this? Trials that are long and exhausting because of their mechanics? Well, fuck, I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted the new jobs! Funny thing, this is quite common with newcomers and returners alike, and it's understandable, but they forget. This is Square Enix. They like to tell stories. They like to show what kind of dangers and monsters they put into the game. They want people to see as much work they put into it as much as possible, and it's completely alright. A game is meant to be played, but surely if someone made art, they want the whole thing to be seen by the public rather than a tattered corner piece. You know what I mean, right? However, once that's done and out of the way, you are graced with new locations, new lands of danger, and the new jobs that may seem a bit lackluster at first. I want to remind you guys that I'm making a video on the Dark Knight only right now, only because I feverishly went from 30 to 60 in a matter of a week, and it could have been shorter if I didn't have a real job. Also, this video is meant to be taken with a grain of salt. They are tips for a new job that not a lot of people can get down automatically, and even after reaching level 60 may not entirely get the Dark Knight within 100% understanding. These are but tricks I found and used to keep my tank not only alive, but also the center of attention while regulating my abilities. They may not be for everyone, in fact I'm sure a lot of you may disagree with me on some things, but I'm not here for people who disagree, but for those who want a little bit of an understanding of a job that seems more DPS than tank. And we will start by understanding what the Dark Knight does, his strengths, his weaknesses, and the strategy I use to make him an actual great tank. Oh, and if you want more tips for tanking, check out my video on how to be a good tank. I sound a bit angry, and there are reasons why I do, but that video is to get tanks into the basics. If you are willing to learn and not care that I sound a bit dickish, then go ahead and check that video out. Only if you're new to tanking. Let's begin with getting started. As a tank, you share all the tanking gear in the game. All of your stuff, if not dungeon rare drops, should at least be close to your level. I found it easy to just get some stuff at the Grand Company Hall for level 30 gear. And though you have all that gear, I just want to tell you that Dark Knights are incredibly squishy. Armor isn't really going to protect you from hard hits. In fact, you're going to seem like a weaker tank in terms of defense than the warrior, and this immediately gives you an idea of what the biggest weakness is for a Dark Knight. They have no defense, so your first thought might be to give vitality to the boost in points, right? Well, in all honesty, I'd say strength is a much better way to go, and not because of the damage, no, but instead of this description here. Okay, a bit of an update here. Apparently, strength and parry are not one of the same anymore. I don't know why Square just did a flip side on me. All of a sudden, I was caught off guard. I don't know why they did this. Whatevs. But, parry and strength are no longer a thing. Strength is its own stat. Parry is its own stat. When you raise strength, you're not raising parrying anymore. It's its own base thing. And you still do, like, you block 20% of that damage once you still do it. And that's all fine and all dandy and all that stuff. But does that mean that Dark Knight does not gain from raising its strength stat? And no, I think they still do because of the skills that they have. So I still think that you want to put all of your points into strength rather than anything else like vitality. I will explain that a little bit more in terms of that in skills, but just an update, you guys, strength and parry are not a thing anymore. Strength is its own thing, and parry is its own thing. Thank you, Square Enix. Thank you very much. With blocking not in the arsenal of the Dark Knight, parry is what we should really focus on, especially because of this skill here, reprisal, I don't fucking care, which lowers target attack damage down by 10%. This skill will help with detrimental damage to your health because not only is it a good counter move to lower attack power, but it's also an attack that uses no TP, an extra attack if you will. But that's not all. You will notice that you have Grit at level 30, which please use it to raise your defense. It's basically your defense stance, so use it, and even though you take a cut of 20% attack strength, you gain 20% more defense. Also at level 30, you get Dark Side.
Now you will experience the full power of the dark side,
which raises your attack back up by 15%, so technically you're only taking a 5% cut in strength, but Dark Side will consume your MP as it stays on. This puts more aggro in your attacks and more options in your pocket, and even though it looks like nothing now when outside of dungeons, Dark Side is a great strength booster to deal out those heavy damages, kind of like the Warrior's Bane but not as powerful. You also get a major boost in attack speed when using Blood Weapon, which not only raises your attack speed by 10%, but also converts physical attack into MP. A good way to solo those need to die soon enemies, like bombs and stuff. Oh, and let me say this now. It's kind of hard to see who's stronger between the Dark Knight and the Warrior, so please don't ask. Anyway, let's move up the ladder, shall we? From 30 to 40, you'll get Dark Dance, a passive skill that raises your parry rate, emphasizing more on the fact that the strength stat is more important. Blood Price, another passive skill, for depending on how much damage you take, the more MP you gain through enemies attacking you. Fair warning, it's only partial MP gain. Soul Eater, the signature move and one of the most important skills a Dark Knight can have. At lower levels, this skill gives back 50% damage dealt back from the enemy to the player as health upon use and when used in the skill combo, and 100% damage dealt converted to health when at higher levels. And last, Dark Passage, which is a line AoE. This is only the start, however. Upon going from 40 to 50, you have Dark Mind, a passive skill for which you finally get some defense against magic. It's possibly one of the strengths that Dark Knight has. Dark Arts, for which takes certain skills and give them added effects, more power, and more use in your arsenal. It can only be used in Dark Side mode, much like Dark Passage, and it uses a lot of MP. Shadow Wall, basically a stronger shadow skin with 30% more defense instead of 20%, and Delirium, which fucks up any person or thing that uses mainly magic, cutting 10% of their intelligence, and Living Dead, which makes it so you can't go under 1% health, and upon being so, will be considered Walking Dead, which lasts for 10 seconds. This is when you shout out that you need health at 100% fast, because if you don't so much as touch 100% health, you will die. Now, as for levels 50 to 60 skills, I will say that a visual drain will be useful once you figure out MP management, especially in large crowds where it helps in terms of keeping aggro and regaining health. Soul Survivor, which is a cheap way to get 20% of your health and MP back by marking an almost dead enemy. That enemy doesn't even have to be the one you're facing. It could be that one other guy's enemy. You mark it and you get 20% health and MP gain upon their death, no matter their level, health, or even if they're part of the mobs you were fighting at the moment. Just mark an almost dead mob and see your MP and health gain back up upon their death. And Carve and Spit, which grants the user MP. If not, they instead do an attack potency of 450 while under Dark Arts. This confused me at first, but it's an option A, option B move that is used for situational circumstances. Other than that, you get Salted Earth, a dot-based AoE for some little damage, and Plunge, for which I'm sure was made to close the gap between you and your opponent. Sort of lackluster seeing how a Visual Drain and Soul Survivor seem to be the only ones worth using, and I'll admit that I may have forgotten that Carve and Spit was even there. But I'm sure you guys will think of something, right? These skills are executed in ways that seem to sustain the Dark Knight, and that's the big word here, sustain. The Dark Knight isn't all about damage as much as it is to sustain itself in battle, and not only for its MP, where you see a bunch of MP gain skills, but also HP through Soul Eater and Abyssal Drain. The Dark Knight is a sustaining tank, a tank that not only keeps aggro, but survives as well. And where you don't see HP insta-gain like Warrior with Bloodbath and higher attack strength, or the defensive capabilities of the Paladin with its many defensive skills like Sentry, Awareness, Bulwark, or Rampart, the Dark Knight can sustain itself through HP and MP stealing. Honestly, something I kind of predicted in one of my past videos. I knew that a Dark Knight would be squishy because of its stealing traits, and I knew it would be hard to master, but I also knew that it would make a good tank due to how much it stole from their enemies, although in all honesty, I was a bit worried as well. I had always thought of a Dark Knight as a DPS, much like the ones in Final Fantasy XI, but as I see them now, they're not so bad. Technical as fish, but not a bad tank at all. Sustainability is a Dark Knight's second job after being the center of attention. They need to be able to keep aggro while keeping themselves alive. Now, I'm not saying the healer is doing a bad job, I'm just saying a Dark Knight needs to do a great job in helping the healer keep himself alive. While at levels 30 through 40, they're pretty squishy and may need a helping hand, though from 40 to 50 you see a much needed change in their ability to sustain themselves, making it easier to keep them alive. I'm actually talking to the healers at this point, whose job to keep the Dark Knight alive seemingly become easier. I for one sucked at this method while being between the levels of 30 and 40. I used Reprisal as much as I could to lower the attacks of the mobs. This made it easier for the healer to keep up. Of course, I also used Darkside just as well to dish out damage. Along with the aggro boosting combo, I may have used the MP gaining combo a lot more. As long as I kept up the damage with Darkside on, I was actually doing a bit of damage. Upon getting Blood Price, things got easier to keep Darkside on, although I still didn't have the defense to not be squishy. Having just Shadow Skin wasn't enough. I brought some skills from my cross class, Foresight from Warrior for added defense, Provoke from Paladin because it's motherfucking Provoke, and Mercy Stroke from Warrior for the 20% HP regain as a finisher, which never ceased to help me in terms of health. I later got Bloodbath from Warrior for the occasional HP gain, and because the Dark Knight was starting to attack like a beast, and Convalescence from Paladin to help the healer out in giving me more HP, especially for when I'm using Living Dead. Now once you get Soul Eater, trust me when I say that it will be your best friend. Not only does it give you health through damaging a foe, but it also gets stronger with no drawbacks from Dark Arts, which turns it to a potency of 400 instead of 260 in a combo. Again, your best friend. I think it starts to be self-explanatory from here. MP and HP gaining is a Dark Knight's bread and butter, and with a high amount of strength under their belt, they are sooner to be self-sufficient rather than squishy when they first start out. Do Soul Eater as much as possible without losing any aggro in the meantime. Use defensive skills upon using Blood Price to not only take the damage, but mitigating it as well. Use Delirium to fuck up some wizard's day. Use Dark Arts for big attacks, big defenses, and detrimental effects like Blind on a whole row of enemies. Dark Arts plus Dark Passage. Use Dark Arts for regaining health in a large quantity through Dark Arts plus Soul Eater 50 to 100%, or Dark Arts plus Abyssal Drain, which is always at 100% and it's an AoE. Although I would use Blood Price and a defensive skill before doing that in order for better sustainability, and even after, just use Abyssal Drain to keep up the aggro since it has pretty good enmity. And always make sure you keep up on your MP. Dark Knights are a sustaining tanking job and they eat right through MP like it was chicken and waffles. Using the aggro combo always comes first, but make sure you also use the MP stealing combo so Darkside never turns off. Also, remember to turn it off after every fight to better regain your MP. Although you don't have to do this if you're confident enough. I always do it to regain back my MP. It still does eat away at your MP except when you're outside of battle, I guess. Also, fair warning, MP refresh status doesn't work on it. now, I think. When Dark Knights first came out in the expansion, bards were refreshing everything back up. But now, it doesn't seem so. Maybe it was a glitch in the game or something. Or maybe I'm wrong and the refresh status still works. Some more bit of advice is to watch for sleep effects during dungeon play. If you have a competent person using sleep on all mobs, Unleash does do damage to everyone and will wake those bastards up. So be aware of it while you're playing. Thank you. Try to use Soul Survivor on things that are near death. Trash, mobs, even bosses. Just remember though, they have to reach the number 0 for it to work, meaning they have to totally die in order for Soul Survivor to work. If you hit an event or queue when the person runs or transforms or something related, the effect will not work. Just remember that. Again, use as much of the MP stealing combo as much as possible while not losing aggro, and try to make Dark Arts a situational thing. Dark Arts use a lot of MP, so keep that in mind. Other than that, just keep doing basic tanking. I myself have come to the habit of numbering my foes and try to at least keep some sort of organized plan in my head. Some don't, some do. I would rather see that than just trying to figure out what I have to kill as a DPS. I still don't know why DPS go around hitting the thing the tank isn't, but if you guys can tell me, please, I would like to know. I myself don't really like it. When I see a DPS hitting another mob instead of the one I'm fighting along with the other DPS, I start asking why they would do that, when they could just kill this thing right in front of me. It takes as much time, but with one mob down sooner, it becomes a lot easier for the healer to heal me in the long run. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make the fight go faster if you're over there fighting mob B while we're over here fighting mob A. I also don't like switching everywhere to keep aggro because a DPS can be too strong at times. You know what? I think I'll do just that. Make a video on DPS and how to be a good one. I mean, tanks are one problem, healers are another, but DPS has just as much to do with the team as much as everyone else. But on the meantime, why not I let you guys choose the subject of my next video? Will it be primals, in a lore that will uncover the secrets of how they are summoned, what their nature is on Eorzea, and many secrets you may not know? Or should I continue down the path of teaching a role to the people out there being just a little bit lacking, with the DPS class that is? Click on the annotation for your vote, and whoever wins by the end of the week will be the next subject in my next video. Of course, what I really want to do is get my Dragoon up to level 60, and perhaps my Paladin, but what must be done, and what I want to do is entertain you guys. Even so, I'm so close. Hey guys, it's the Saint Weaver. Thank you for watching my video, and if you like what you saw and you want to see more, click the subscribe button down here if you like to subscribe, and of course you can check out my channel. Make sure to like and share with your friends so that other people may know about the Dark Knight and my Final Fantasy and maybe my channel. And I would like to personally thank everyone out there who actually watched and subscribed to me. 1,000 subscribers may not be a lot to one person or to like a million other YouTubers, but it is to me because it's a stepping stone to maybe getting 10,000 or 100,000 or even a million. So this is the reason why I'm making these options at the end of my videos now. Either do another lore or maybe another teaching video. It's up to you guys. Just click on those annotations to see which one you want to see the most. And well, you know, of course people will pick one or the other, but it's whoever wins, and I will make a video on that. So thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video.
Oh, I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive.